welcome everyone to our Energy Explorer series. I am Jenny Wiley, Director of Community for the Institute for Professional Excellence in Coaching, or iPEC for short. And at iPEC, our mission is to raise the consciousness of the world one person at a time. But not only are we certified coaches, we are a community of helpers with big hearts and amazing stories. And so this Energy Explorer series is here to highlight some of these amazing coaches who are using their talents and their drive and their passion and tapping into their highest selves in order to live their purpose. In this series, we're really getting to the heart of what it means to be a certified professional coach and the unique journeys that we all experience. So joining me today is iPEC graduate Christine Walsh. Christine, thank you so much for joining us today.
You are so welcome. I'm honored to be here, and I love seeing all the comments in the chat already. So let's do this.
Yes, it's great. Let me give you a formal introduction. So Christine is here, and she helps visionary women entrepreneurs break through their money limiting beliefs, reduce their financial fear, and increase their income without having to budget their way there, compromise their morals, or work longer hours. She does this with private coaching and consulting, as well as through her Be the Queen of Your Money group coaching program. She is a certified professional coach, credentialed with the ICF and an ELIMP, as well as certified in the Profit First methodology. So we've got the creds out of the way. Christine.
So funny to hear all that sometimes.
Oh, yes, absolutely. And it's always been fun being able to connect with you over the years. So I'm glad that we can feature this amazing work that you're doing as a coach.
Thank you.
So typically when we start off these types of interviews, we go in the Wayback Machine and we tap into what you were experiencing before you became a coach. But we're going to actually do things a little bit differently because of the way that 2020 has kind of shown itself to us. Some might even be calling it a little bit of a dumpster fire. You know, and so I want to go back and tell us what was going on in your coaching practice back in January of 2020.
Yeah, so really like back 11 months ago almost.
Way back in January, a lifetime ago.
Time is an illusion sometimes. So January 2020, I was definitely in the midst of a shift around my business, and obviously not anticipating the global shift that would be happening in our society. But I wanted to really get my work out into a larger audience. So I was starting to limit the amount of one-on-one coaching I was doing and doing more group work of coaching. So I had this grand plan to have a group coaching program. I had committed to doing this work in probably November, December 2019. And as January came along and I was all geared up and ready to go and put my marketing out there with my group program starting March 17th, I think was the launch date of the program. And that's St. Patrick's Day for some of you. And it was also the day here in Colorado where I live that everything really shut down. And in that moment of, between me kind of reworking my business model, if you will, from a one-on-one to a more group program, I realized the COVID and the fear of finances and what was coming up for people, it was really I've been a coach certified for 4 years. It really cemented in me that I need to do this work and I need to show up for people who are scared about their money, as I once was. And I'll share a little bit about that in a little bit, but I really needed to be that beacon of light for people who felt like their financial world was falling apart based on what was happening globally with the pandemic.
Yeah, that's so
interesting. Really like aligned and cemented. It always had been. Money had always been the topic I wanted to talk about and coach on. But it dropped in big time this year.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. And even in our coach community, you are one of the, coaches who a lot of others look to when we have questions about money mindset and things like that. So to hear that you had already started the steps back in January to make more space, to be able to serve more clients, to expand your offerings, is pretty interesting. A little bit of divine timing, I would say
Yeah. I
too.
mean, I'm getting the chills right now as you say that, because as you know, hindsight, what's foresight is hindsight kind of thing, or hindsight's
Yeah.
foresight. As I look back, I'm like, yeah, really to have to be going through that and deciding, because that really was in the spirit of abundance. My work is wealth consciousness. So in the spirit of abundance, I wanted to get this work out to more people. And the way to, in my mind, to do that was through the group format. So,
Yeah.
and it's been great ever since. So
I,
it's been my best year for
yeah,
my.
no, maybe we can dive into that a little bit more about you even being the one who's practicing what you're teaching. But let's talk a little bit more about why this time is actually a really important time to be thinking about how we think about money. You know, a lot
Well,
are passing that off as a dumpster fire, but life is always uncertain.
yeah. I mean, we had the word uncertainty has been I don't know what everyone's word of the year was back in January, but the word uncertainty sort of became a word for many people, and life became very uncertain. And what I believe is out of uncertainty opens up possibilities if we can stay open to that. And when I thought about, just the what people are going through and how it came slapped in our face, this whole financial breakdown of people losing their jobs or wanting, maybe even, I mean, I've heard so many people wanting to start businesses because they lost their jobs and are interested in entrepreneurship. I said to myself, there is a very thin veil right now, a portal for people to really open up to a new way of doing money. All of and it's not just been around the pandemic, obviously around racial equity, women's equality, everything like that has all been brewing up to this point. And when you see that sort of what I would call almost revolutionary type energy,
Mhm.
the veil is thin for us to make a lot of change personally, internally. This isn't like, doesn't have to be some global massive thing, movement or anything, but even internally, it can be a massive thing for us to shift our way of doing money, that we choose to not live in fear. We choose
Mhm.
to do something different. And I think this year is a great um, showcase of that, if you're open to that and not falling into it's a dumpster fire, because that's easy to do. I totally get it. It is a little bit of a crazy time. And there is also in that craziness an opportunity for us. And
Yeah.
that, that's what money is. I mean, I know you said it. That's, and a lot of you said something to choices, freedom. Money brings us those opportunities. And when we look at it from a more conscious point of view versus what we've been taught, perhaps, and that's what I feel is the most root problem for many of us, men or women, is that we haven't been taught about money and how to create it and how to be in alignment with it. And that creates fear, that uncertainty. And I get that because I once was there myself. So
Yeah, absolutely. What are some of those common, kind of limiting beliefs or fears that you see pop up when you start working with clients around money?
I think one of the big ones is they don't deserve it. I don't deserve to have financial success because many different reasons, whether my family doesn't have it, or I will be judged if I make more money, or there's other people out in the world that are suffering and don't have money. Why should I make it? Or just, it really boils down to our own self trust and our own self love and our own self esteem as to if if I have money, does that mean that somebody else goes without, is how that
Yeah.
really boils down to. And when I feel like I don't deserve it, it's because I'm obviously thinking about someone else, which is awesome because that underlines your values. A lot of times our most limiting beliefs are us hugging our values so closely that we're using limiting beliefs to sort of mask the truth of it. And so I invite anyone to feel into, if they have that myth going on, that limiting belief, if you will, around I don't deserve to be wealthy, to just open up to the idea that we all get to be that. It's not that you get it and somebody else doesn't. We all have that abundance as a birthright inside of us.
Mhm.
We're miracles. We would not be walking this earth if we weren't a walking miracle, and there's a miracle every day. And so that abundance, that prosperity is already within us. And it feels good. It feels
Yeah.
good to, it feels like your truth and walking your truth. So I very much stand for women and men understanding their relationship to money emotionally, as well as practically, tactically. That's for sure. I don't be
Sure.
looking at the numbers and everything, but money is emotional. So
Yeah. Yeah. Even you sharing that, and I can see in the chat that it's resonating with a lot of others who are listening in live. I think about even my own money story, and what I experienced when I was younger was that we didn't talk about money, and that if there were issues about money, it created conflict. And
yeah,
so I highly value balance
yeah,
and contentment, and having things feel balanced is the main thing. And so for a long time, I didn't talk about money because I thought that if I did, it would create more conflict. And that was in direct conflict with my value of wanting to feel balance in my life.
absolutely. I love that connection. I love that
Yeah.
connection. And, many of us were not taught how to do money or how to talk about it. And within that then becomes a lot of shame and guilt can build up around it. And shame breeds on silence and not talking about it. And that's why I feel it's very important for us to have conversations around money. And so that's why I'm so grateful for the opportunity to share here, as well as everyone who's on watching, and to maybe get a glimmer of another way of doing money. The more that we do our money work, the more freedom we have in many different other areas of our lives because of the ripple effect, right? Money is something I know I work with daily. I not only just as a money coach, but just going through my day-to-day life. We're talking about money. It is an exchange for something else. And so that's how this world works. So opening up that idea of we can look at this differently, is even in that awareness is a choice, and it's a perspective shift, and it might, who knows what comes of that.
Yeah, I'm definitely hearing two really strong points right now that I just want to make sure everyone who's watching is hearing, that there is the point of understanding what money means to you right now and building awareness around that, but then also expanding the possibilities for what money can mean to you so that you can start to look at new beliefs and understand it in a different way.
So
So
good.
I hope that everyone is taking a moment to think about, what does money mean to me right now, and why is that? And what are the possibilities for me to be able to change that? So Christine, how do you help your clients build more awareness around what beliefs might be holding them back around money?
Yeah, well, when we first start out, me and my clients, we go through what they want to achieve during our time working together. And I
Mm-hmm.
think it's very interesting to feel into the desire of what we want, whether it's paying down debt, it's having an emergency fund, it's investing, it's starting a new business, it's investing in coaching, it's investing in personal development. You see their energy light up. Even I'm talking about,
Yeah, I can feel
mine
it.
at one time, like the energy rises, and that's exciting. And so when we talk about that, naturally belief systems around, I don't know if I can do that, how can I afford this, all of that stuff is going to pop up. And that's when instead of glossing over it, that's when we dig in deeper and say, okay, hold on, let's hold here. This is a belief that's holding you back from where you want to go. My favorite question about beliefs, if you know your money belief that you have, is, what do you love about that belief? And it's sort of
Ooh,
counterintuitive because you're like, well, I don't like anything about that belief. Get rid of it.
yeah.
I don't want it. What's a new one? Meanwhile, there is everything's happening for us. So we have beliefs that have been serving us and supporting us for many, many years, even though cognitively we're like, that belief is just so rotten. I don't want that one. I don't want the one that says, like, I got to work hard to make money. But there's something about it that has been serving you. And that would be my question to everyone in the group. If you know of a belief like, I don't deserve it, or money, I have to work hard to make the money I want, or making money will make me greedy or evil or something like that. What do you love about that? Like, how does it protect you essentially? How does it keep you safe? And I just really, that can open up the perspective, right? At any given moment, there's a circumstance, there's an idea, and we can have a billion beliefs around it. We can have different, so many different perspectives. So I love the coaching question, like, what are the 3 other ways to look at this belief? And that could be one of them. What do I love about this belief? And it's kind of funny. It'll be like, oh, I don't love anything. And you'll be like, well, I love that it doesn't make me go out and risk, or doesn't make me look like a failure, or, like, it's all about, at the end of the day, protection. And we want to honor that part of ourselves that's been protecting us, maybe even overprotecting us for so many years, perhaps decades.
Mm-hmm. Why is it so important for us to honor that part of ourselves?
Because that part of ourselves is us. I do a lot of work around shadow work around money. We, at one point or another, there's been a time when we've been told, don't be like that. Don't listen to that, be fearless, or get rid of your fear. And really, I think it's those shadow parts that actually open up so much possibility and so much creativity for us, because we then are more integrated in ourselves, and we're working with the whole self, not just the part of the selves that is our best foot forward. And that happens with money is don't be greedy, right? Or don't be pushy if you are an entrepreneur and you're in a sales conversation kind of thing. If you're in business, there's a lot of those shadow words that will come out. And when we can start to integrate our fear, and I was just talking about this in my group this week, around the more we can embrace fear as almost a friend. I'm putting this out lightly, but the idea of, almost having a dialogue with fear. Hey, fear, what are you here for? What do you want from me? Like, almost in a conversation, not like in an antagonistic way. Like, let's talk. What do you see for me? The more that we can open up that conversation, the more that the fear mitigates and dissolves. And that energy that was bound up in that fear, then it can be used to create what you want to create. When we have a lot of energy bound up in fear, we're not using our whole self. We're not working our full potential. We're not going for what we want, even though we want it. And that happens not only in money, but of course, love, relationships, health, emotional well-being, spirituality. So
absolutely, it affects all the things.
Exactly. So acknowledging fear, almost embracing it. Like, I like to say, I love tea. So I'll be like, all right, fear, let's have a cup of tea together. Tell me everything. Tell me everything you know. What are you here for? Let's talk it out. And in that conversation is a lot of awareness is, oh, that's why you're here, to show me. What I say about fear is it's a reminder for us to love ourselves more. So if you have a lot of fear in your life around money, it's a reminder to say that, to love yourself more, to understand yourself more, to understand money more, how it can support you. It is life force energy. I know in the beginning I said, what does money mean to me? And I said shoes, because I do love shoes. But really, it is about life force energy and the exchange that we make in this world using money. So
yeah. Some were even reflecting in the chat about how money is energy, and energy fuels us and can either be constrictive and compounding and that stuck kind of feeling, or it can be expansive and abundant, and we can see more opportunities. So it makes sense to really get to the heart of the matter. And something else I want to reflect on is what you were saying about it could be even borderline spiritual bypassing, to continue to just move past the fear, positive, thinking positively and not addressing the fear. And I can imagine that if you continue doing that and it comes to money, that even if you are getting money from bypassing the fear and not addressing it, it might not be sustainable for you.
Yeah.
You're not getting to the heart of the matter.
Absolutely. I mean, I've worked with people who have a lot of money from either an inheritance or a trust, to people who have nothing, and everyone in between. And the same things come up for people who have lots of money and people who don't. It's really about our own self reflection and self-awareness of, we all have fear. We all have fear, and we all keep going for some reason. We keep waking up in the morning and saying, okay, there's a reason to believe today about that. This is going to be a better day, and probably around money too, like the possibilities of creating money as an entrepreneur and a career are just, once you understand money, it opens it up, and the fear dissolves. It doesn't go away because it isn't supposed to. We need that. And we don't need it to be driving the bus, if you will. We can have kind of sit back, taking a break and sit in the back seat for a bit.
Elizabeth Gilbert's Big Magic, she talks about how fear can sit in the back seat, but you're not touching the radio, you're not touching the steering wheel.
Yeah.
You can chime in every now and again, but I'm telling us which way we're driving.
Yeah. And Danielle LaPorte has a great Danielle LaPorte, she's a writer. I don't know how I would describe her. Part philosopher, I would imagine. LaPorte, LaPorte. She has a little dialogue called Regarding Fear, and she talks about how we're the coach on a football team, and fear is one of the players, confidence is one of the players, abandonment is one of the players, like all these, happiness is one, but fear is always the one that seems to get the most airplay and is up front all the time. And the coach has to be like, hey, you're on the bench for a little while. And our higher self, our own personal coach, our self-coaching aspect of ourselves comes out and says, hey, wait a minute, fear, you're not hijacking the game here. And I think that's important. I often will have my clients write a letter to fear, write a letter to shame, as if it's a person, write a letter to money, as if it's a person in your life. And you want to establish a healthier relationship with it. What might you say to that person as if it was someone in your life that you're like, I want to re-engage here? And typically amazing things will come out of a letter like that because it's out of your head, it's on paper, no one has to see it. You can burn it in the full moon ceremony, whatever you want to do, transmute the energy, but you get it out of your head and it stops becoming a part of you. Like it's you, and it's like, it's something just that's a small part of you that you can have a dialogue with. So
it's almost as if you're describing how we can transform or transmute the fear into a tool that we can use for ourselves as an indicator for those parts of ourselves that need more love, as an indicator for us to, build a stronger connection to the parts of ourselves that we really do want to attract more of. I'm like imagining a love letter to fear right now. And I love it. I hope everyone's hearing this. We're changing our mindset or addressing our mindset around what money means to us. We're addressing our mindset around what fear means to us. And all of these things are interrelated. So anyone who has questions, feel free to use that Q&A box. We have Christine for a little bit longer here. And I would love to hear what's resonating with you, what questions are coming up for you. I have the questions that I'm going to be sure to ask, but I want to hear from you all. What's resonating with you? What do you want to ask Christine about when it comes to money? So Christine, we've been talking about how to address the mindsets that might be a little bit more limiting. How do we start to build more trust and confidence in our ability to manage and attract money?
I would say, I think a lost skill, if you will, is our ability to desire, to want more. And like you introduced, I have a program called Be the Queen of Your Money. And I have the girls write up the women in the group, a queen list, like a desire list of what do you want? And with no editing, everything is off the table. You can put whatever you want on there and really feel into the energetic raising of awareness as you start to write of course, it's going to be like, well, how am I going to do this? That's all going to naturally start to come in. Like, I don't deserve it, or how am I going to make that happen? Or that's a pipe dream or anything. But if you can start to just even take a few minutes of putting down your desires of what you want money, what the money's for. Cause it's about the money. It's not about the money, right? It's what the money can get you. And really the money is a driver for creating a higher emotion in our body, right? We don't want the new red car, or jet setty red car, whatever it is. We want the feeling of what it's like to drive a powerful red Ferrari or something like that. Perhaps if car is your thing, right? Like for the shoes, for me, I'm like, yeah, I want the shoes, but I want to feel the power of like walking in heels, or
and like some really well-made shoes.
Yeah, so we're chasing a feeling, and we're doing that through money. So if we can activate the feelings that are higher resonating, and for some that might not feel comfortable because decades of thinking that around scarcity and lack and how am I going to do this, and I don't deserve this. I believe we were not put on this earth to be in fear, worry, and doubt all the time.
Yeah.
I do believe our higher self, our future self, our queen of money, king of money, however you want to think about it, that part of ourselves, that flame inside of us does not operate through fear, worry, or doubt. So tap into that part of you, that future self of you that said, wouldn't that be amazing if I had this? I don't know how, who cares how, but it just feels good right now to think about. I don't know. Right now for me, it'd be like a beach sand vacation or something.
That sounds really nice. All of you who are living near beaches.
If I could just fly somewhere and, or, wouldn't it be great if I could visit my family for a month at a time instead of, every once a year or something, whatever it is for you. And again, it'll be representing, showing your values in that desires list. So I think it's really important for us to cultivate that part of ourselves that I know for me growing up, it was work hard, do your thing, don't think too much about anything more that you need, just enough, just keep your head down, keep working. And I was like, there's gotta be more than this. And that doesn't mean that somebody else goes without. It just means I think we're all designed for abundance. And abundance means so much difference to different people. And that's totally fine. But abundance is the truth, is the wholeness within ourselves. So the more that we can integrate all parts of ourselves, even the fearful part, and say, hi, how are you? Come on in. And the parts that says, I want this. Wouldn't it be amazing to have blah? I don't even know, sandy beach vacation.
Yeah. Right.
That's where creativity is made. So
I love that. And, I'm seeing some of the questions come through, and, some are asking, is a mindset shift or tapping into those desires enough to create that sustainable change? And I think the point that we want to try and make sure is clear is that it's a series of choices that you are making to align more with the beliefs that you want to hold true. And one of the things that I loved that you said when we did our little pre-chat together was that there's no way you're going to be able to make a perfect decision all the time, but you can make a decision and then you make it right. And I'd love for you to reflect on that.
Yeah. We have choices all the time. And I love the idea. I've always been sort of a goal person or growth driven. There's always something out there that I'm looking forward to. And the energy of pulling it back to this moment and saying, okay, what shift am I making today? Or how am I thinking? What am I thinking about? What decisions am I making? And yes, I am never going to be able to make the most right decision. I'm not always going to have the most perfect money mindset. I'm still doing my work ahead. I'm just like a fourth grader compared to a third grader. I'm just like, all right, we'll keep going here. I'm still doing my work. And money is the longest relationship. Well, I won't say that. Let me just put a disclaimer there. Money is one of the longest relationships we will have in our lives. Obviously, we have a relationship with ourselves.
I just have to snap to that for a second here. Money is one of the longest relationships we're going to have in our lives. Yes. Okay, go on.
Right? So right up there with time, but money is one of the longest relationships we'll have. So with any relationship, it is a practice. It is paying attention to. It is a focus. It doesn't have to, you don't have to become a money coach and study it or anything like that, like I've done over the past 12 years. But there is an attention to it as if it was a plant or a child or a growing food or something like that. It's not that it's not done. It's that you get better and your mindset becomes stronger. Most of us, and I'll just say the global us, collective us, have been walking around with default money thoughts and have not checked them in. So of course, that's going to take a little bit of practice and awareness to switch it. And what I will say, over the hundreds of women that I've worked with, hundreds of couples, men I've worked with, teenagers, college kids, it doesn't take as long to shift it as you would think, because now that awareness is there, you get to make different choices, you see things differently. The world opens up. I love the idea of the blinders, right? When we're in fear, we're in judgment, the blinders are closed in. When we start to see other possibilities that include uncertainty, that include not sure what we want or anything, but we just say, you know what, I'm going to be open. The blinders start to open and more opportunities can come into us.
You can see them. Yeah,
exactly.
Absolutely.
Exactly. So money is funny. And I would encourage everyone, whether it's via coaching or it's books or it's something that resonates for you, to just start to explore really money as it relates to you. Maybe it's in your family. It just doesn't have to be about budgeting as much as like, where do we spend our money? What do we, and know that your money reflects your values, or might want it to. It might not be doing that all the time, but you can be looking at different things and saying, how can I look at this differently? And maybe you'll see another way of doing it, and talk it out with trusted friends, family, someone that you respect. Have money conversations. I think that really is super important for fear lifting, shame lifting, guilt lifting around having more money, having more abundance and prosperity.
Yeah, that definitely resonates. Christine, we had a question come in, and I think the way that I'd like to frame it is to give a little bit more of a concrete example for everyone. But there was the question of, what does it mean that money is energy? And so I was wondering, maybe we could frame this up as an example of how becoming aware of a certain limiting belief that you may have been carrying around could be translating into what you're currently experiencing because of that. And we can talk about energy in there.
Yeah. My thought around money as energy is more that we're energy, and we're almost applying our energy to the money, and then the money and then that energy then creates other things. So where we are, it's an amplifier almost. It's like, as if we come to money with, I'm going to be greedy, I'm going to be, when I get money, I'm going to be mean or bad or whatever. Like, we get that money, that's what that money's going to do. It's going to flow out into the world with that energy attached to it. And what I talk with my clients about, because a lot of them are conscious business owners and have this idea of scarcity, or grew up with that, or perhaps that money's not good, is I see them as a human being that is naturally growth mindset, learner kind of attitude, wants to shift. And conscious business owners, seeing them with more money is going to then amplify that energetic out to the world from a place of love and good stewardship. I think that's how it is. When money comes to me, as it does through my business and whatnot, I then get to put energy into that money that says, I'm going to buy these type of foods. I'm into health and nutrition and stuff like that. So I'm going to support these kind of companies. I'm going to support these kind of businesses that are doing amazing things in the world. I donate to charity, which is a charity around water, which is about flow. So I love that, money is fluid through us, and we almost become a conduit. And that's how I think of it from an energetic perspective, that it comes through us and then we put it out. That's how I think of the energy connection.
I love that. Yeah. And what I'm hearing you say is that energy is almost like it's our awareness of what we believe and how we think and what our actions are
Yes.
around it. And so that could be applied to money or relationships or, goals or anything like that.
I mean, the thoughts become things, right? Like, so the idea that if we go into the idea, a concept of money, I got to work my butt off to make more money. The result is you're going to work your butt off to make more money. So if the result that you want is, I want it to be easier, and I don't mean sitting back eating bonbons, kind of easy. I just say like more fluid, perhaps. I have seen some phrases around flow, is going into the concept of money with more flow. Do you hold on to money? Do you hide it under your mattress? Do you, then that's going to create more scarcity. Like scarcity begets more scarcity, fear begets more fear. And so that's how the energetic relationship works with our thoughts and our attitudes, our beliefs, our actions will create a result. And that's an energetic equation, essentially.
Yeah.
If we want to change the result, change the belief, change the thought, change your energy.
More snaps. Yes. Which really validates the point for having someone like a coach there to help hold the space for you, a blank slate, as it were, for you to say, what do I believe? Where do I want to go? What do I want to do about this? How can I track how I'm showing up and the choices that I'm making and how that is showing me the results in my life?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I had a mentor who would say, you can't see the label of the jar you are in. And I think that's really true. And that is why I think coaching is just such an amazing profession. And as we become more aware of our world and how we show up in it and how it is impacting, we're no longer, it's like a non-negotiable. We need to be showing up in a way that our world needs change right now. And in many, many different areas, finances is one aspect of it. It can be a powerful aspect of it. But us being aware of our own stuff, and we can only go so far with that just because we can't see our own stuff. It's totally fine and totally normal. And I love having a coach, because some days I'm like, oh my God, why did I pick this niche around money? I got my own money stuff to figure out, And I have a very objective person who can just be like, let's look at this together. I was definitely grew up in a world like, be independent woman, do their thing, go out there, show them what you got. And I always felt like I had to do everything on my own. And then when I got into the coaching world, I'm like, shoot, I don't want to do this stuff alone. I want to be in partnership. I want to be in co-creation. I want to be that's the spirit of abundance. That's us coming together. And it's so relevant for, again, on a global basis, of us coming together and doing something different. So
yeah, I definitely feel that. There's a great question about how when we're operating in this world that we're in right now, it can feel a little bit jarring to oscillate between scarcity and abundance, especially when in the world we're not always seeing that abundance mindset. And so is there a way or any tips that you have about, being able to stay in that lane of abundance mindset when it feels like what we're being shown is a lot of scarcity mindset?
Yeah. I mean, beliefs are built on evidence. So of course we're seeing a lot of fear / scarcity out in the world being shown to us. And it is our work to be in this awareness of abundance as well. We just don't only see abundance, right? This is the contrast. And we only know scarcity if we know abundance. So that's my tip, like my little mind hack for everyone is you wouldn't know what scarcity was if you didn't know abundance. And that's how I know you are already in there. It's already in there. And so how I think about it, I live in the Rocky Mountains of Colorado. We just got about 4 or 5 inches of snow up here. And I'm like, there's an abundance of snow. There's an abundance of evergreen trees. There's an abundance of salsa in the grocery store down this aisle. Like, I've never seen so much salsa. Like, for whatever reason, my grocery store has a ton of salsa. Like, I'm always looking for, like, almost naming it. We did have scarcity in the grocery stores, obviously, toilet paper, right? It was like, yes, there is a scarcity. It's naming it and naming both sides of it. So you see the contrast and you get to choose. Conscious choice is your power. It's a superpower. And so when we can claim, even emotionally, like, I am feeling scarce, or I am feeling fear, or I am feeling sad, afraid, our power is in that, even if it doesn't feel like a powerful feeling, because at one time or another, somebody said, or my dad said, don't cry, pull up your pants and let's do this, like pull up get your stuff on together and let's do it. I'd be like, I just want to be sad, and, or I want to be fearful. But when we choose fear and we choose to kind of acknowledge and be like, all right, I'm here with you. I don't know where this is going, but I'm here and I know we can do this together. We also then open up to the other side of the spectrum. So we can open up. We only know sadness. We only know fear. We only know frustration, because we know we have at one time or another tapped into the other side of it, even if it was just for a millisecond of happiness, love, abundance, etc. Yeah. So feelings are a big piece of it's a yin and yang symbol, right? Like, we're going to have abundance and we're going to have scarcity. And we have to have them together. We're going to have fear. We're going to have love. And it's us just being in the awareness that in our expansion around seeing both, by choice, we become in the driver's seat of creating our lives, creating, whether that's money, health, wealth, spirituality, relationships, etc.
Yes. I'm even thinking about, we're kind of like giggling a little bit about the toilet paper example, but even if you are seeing and observing and saying there's a scarcity of toilet paper, well, if I open myself up and think about what's the abundant side of this, there's an abundance of consumers who are purchasing toilet paper right now. And it may seem kind of silly, but it's a mindset shift where you're acknowledging the fear, acknowledging the scarcity, but then opening yourself up. It's like a muscle almost that you're exercising, it sounds like.
Yeah. It reminds me in iPEC, the idea of like inherent in every problem is a solution is one of the principles of this work. And it's the same thing, inherent in every, it's every pen has one side and the other, and scarcity, and like everything is that's whole, and that thing becomes whole. And we do have lack in this world. We do have scarcity. And there was a point in my life and in my journey in this money work that I was like, well, I only have to look at abundance. I can only look at abundance. I'm doing abundance work. And somebody said to me, well, there is lack, and we need to know both. Because then we have the blinders are open more wide for possibilities. Because in some of our most financially strapped times, brilliance has come out of that. I would say that was around the Great Depression. Napoleon's book, Think and Grow Rich, came out of that time frame, out of the 2008 crisis, housing crisis, financial crisis of 12 years ago. I believe it's Uber, Pinterest, gosh, I wish I'd known some of the names. Some of the biggest, companies that are around now came out of that period of time. And Fortune 500 companies that are being grown now, you'll see them grow out of this time period, because in lack, in constriction, contract, opportunities are still there. And actually there, I mean, from an investing point of view, that's how you would do. You would say buy low. So
Absolutely.
yeah, there's
And
opportunity here.
if I may, just to reflect back to your story, Christine, and going back to January of 2020, there absolutely could have been a point when you thought to yourself, doing one-on-one coaching is limiting because I only have so many slots that I'm able to have one-on-one clients with. And that it really, like, the buck could have stopped there, and you definitely could have gone into a place of, well, this is the limit. This is all it
Yeah.
can be.
Yeah.
And you instead saw the opportunity and opened up to the abundance side of that, which set you up for group coaching, which set you up for the circumstantial opportunity that became known, on March 17th of this year, that you couldn't have planned on.
No,
We
no.
we can't plan on these types of things. We can change how we feel on the inside, though.
Yeah. Yeah. And to be honest, I was feeling a lot of fear. It wasn't only fear. I was also feeling faith. I was also feeling love.
Sure.
But I was feeling fear. And I said, I could just go back to one-on-one. I mean, I could just go back and get a job even, and I said, I'm not believing that this is a crisis in my economy, my personal economy. I'm going to choose to keep going forward. I believe in entrepreneurship. I believe in small businesses being a resource for the economy getting stronger, that we are the backbone of the economy. And if I'm not out there selling my offers or putting my work out there and inviting people to work with me, then this economy is going to stay in a dismal place. And I'm just obviously a small drop in the water, but I'm representing.
You are part of the whole
small business.
Absolutely.
And I chose, and it was a choice. And I said, all right, what's the risk? And I looked at some of the risks and I said, you know what? I'm going forward. And it's one hand in fear, one hand in faith. And I'm just like, okay.
Here we go.
Here
we go.
It's big decisions in our lives. And we, like I said, we don't have all the knowings to make the right decision every single time. We make a decision based on other people, ourselves, and then we create the habits, create the little mini decisions that make that decision work for us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that's the thing with money.
Right.
So,
Christine, we have some, people here who are coaches or might be thinking about becoming coaches. And a question that comes up often when someone's trying to make this type of decision to become a coach and become a certified coach and do this training is that, will this training, whichever school I choose, will this training be worth the investment? Will I be successful enough to make this worth it? And so what are your thoughts around that?
Yeah, as a money person, when I enrolled in iPEC to get my coaching certification, I did not have any intention of making it a business. It was an investment in myself.
Yeah.
And that was, I remember, getting the credit card out and putting the money on there. And I said, I almost had this feeling of like, Christine, have your own back. Like, trust yourself that you will create the return on investment. Now, there are two types of return on investment. Is the quantitative, which is the financial aspect of it. If I, invest $1,000 in something, will I make that money back? Will I make that 10 times back, whatever it is? So there's that piece. And then there's qualitative aspect of it, which is, does my quality of life improve? And that is almost worth more than the quantitative. Yes, the quantitative is important. I am a money coach, so I will speak to the financial, but I just think of someone who I enrolled in iPEC when I was 40. So at that time, I put the investment into myself financially, energetically, time-wise. And I thought, okay, so I will use these resources. I knew this right from the get-go. Like as soon as the first module I was in, I was like, I'm going to use these resources for the next 30, 40 years. I think an average woman's life is 83. So let's call it 43 years.
Sure.
Like over the next 43 years, will this investment pay off for me financially and emotionally, mentally, physically, anything like that? And I was like, it was 100%, of course. Like it's a no-brainer. So that's how I
Love
like
that.
of, investing in ourselves. And I think investing in ourselves is our best asset because it doesn't get taken away from us. Yes, I mean, real estate is fun to investing in portfolio, like all of that with like money kind of things where you're investing in something, but anything can happen. We know that with the economy, but investing in ourselves is our best asset. And that was what I needed at that time. I was going through my own financial debacle and I was like, oh my gosh, I got to stop this spinning in my head and I need some help. And I want to know more about how coaching can help me. So I hired a coach and then from there enrolled in iPEC. And gosh, I think we talked about this on the pre-chat kind of thing. It's turned my world from black and white to Technicolor.
Yeah.
And that's an opportunity for anyone who here is considering that.
I so resonate with that, Christine, and hearing how you tapped into, both sides, the qualitative and the quantitative, and giving yourself that permission kind of logically to think through, man, if I'm investing in this over this and the output is going to be over this many years, like I can definitely see how easily this will become a return on my investment when I expand out and really believe in myself and trust that this is going to come full circle for me. And I can imagine that there are others who are coaches on the other side who are feeling similarly about, the types of services they charge for and the price tag that they put on their coaching. And so I'd love to reflect on that a little bit on the flip side, when you become a coach and you start putting a price tag on the service that you're providing, what's the mindset around that?
Yeah, well, definitely your money mindset's going to come up around your I will tell you that. Half the reason why people come to talk to me. Money is going to be part of business for as long as business is around. So when I think about that lifetime value, that same return on investment I put into myself, when I ask people to invest in themselves to work with me, and I put a pricing on it, I'm thinking about what is that outcome that they can receive over, average, 20, 30 years. Some people may be younger or older, whatever. And that would be the invitation for any coaches on here who are like, where do I put my pricing? I want you to consider whether, and you don't have to be a money coach. There is a financial and emotional value to the outcomes that you deliver for these people over their lifetime. I think of a health coach, for instance, if they're pricing something at $1,000, let's just say, and they're like, oh, that's a big, internally you're thinking that might be a big chunk for someone to take or whatever. Why would anyone pay that? I want you to almost take yourself out of the equation. I want you to think about what if they were to do the work with you and they listen, they go through the practices, they answer the question, like they're showing up, they're being engaged. What could be the output, the outcomes for them and the value of the outcomes for the next 20, 30 years, right? That they may not have to buy medicines, I don't know, like hypertension medicine, or go to a doctor all the time because they understand health and emotional well-being around health. Like there's so much, they may not have to be going to buying an expensive gym membership or health train, over a lifetime. So I want everyone to be thinking about that. What is that over a lifetime value?
I love that. Yeah. I mean, if I'm going to charge $1,000 for my coaching services, what is the lifetime value of that to my client?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And it's money. I get it. So we all think about it different ways. So that's why I just think it's just good to have the conversation, to open up and again, be talking this out with trusted friends and family and colleagues, and everyone who's here, who's shown up. I just love that means something. That shows me the kind of people that want to do their money differently.
Yeah. Love that. There's a question that came through, and we can explore this and kind of start to finish up, but exploring this belief that you have to work a 9 to 5 or, work hard to earn hard and make money for yourself, especially when you're wanting to start to coach full time. And so if someone came to you with this type of mindset, what would you do? What kind of questions would you be thinking about with them?
I would start with desire. I would start with, what do you really want? Really tap into that energy of what would be an ideal life, ideal work situation, and really anchor into the feelings of that first, so that we can raise the vibration. Because once we raise the vibration, then the universe kind of meets you at that junction and says, okay, they're ready to do something different. I would be looking, again, beliefs are underscored by evidence. So I'd be looking for people, if you do want to not work hard, earn more, like have to work 9 to 5 or have to work 70 hours in your coaching business, if that's it, look for people who are doing what you want to be doing. Anything is possible. Everything is available to us at any given moment. So if we're looking, I want to make $100,000 and I only want to work 3 days a week, look for someone who's doing that and ask questions and open up that, look for the evidence of what you want to have happen. And that happens, again, a lot of the reason why money stuff is so entangled these days is because we weren't taught about it, and we didn't necessarily have financial mentors or models for us. And that's one of the reasons every time I'm like, I don't know if I got this money, I'm doing my own money stuff, but I want to be an example of what's possible for people around money. And I will every day commit to possibility around money. And it's just a belief. I can't even say why anymore. Like, I just feel like it's in me. Like it's a life force. We need to have this fluid. It's here for a reason. And there's plenty of money out there. We know the Treasury, if you're in the United States, the US Treasury, they were printing money.
Yeah.
Earlier in the year. Like, money is
made up.
Yeah. So, it's tongue in cheek a little bit because obviously there's more intricacies around it and there's so much possibility. Many of you wrote in the chat, money equals some like possibility, choice, freedom. Really anchor into that. See where it does happen. Where do you have choice because of money? And really anchor into that. So that would
Love it. Oh, Christine, thank you so much. And okay, so everyone who's joining us live, or if you're watching the replay on Facebook, when you think about money now, what comes up for you? Share it in the chat, share it in the comments. After you've heard this amazing conversation with Christine and myself, what comes up for you now? So share with us. We want to hear. So Christine, thank you so much for sharing this space with us today. We're going to be posting Christine's website in the comments. It's christinemwalsh.com. If you have questions about the logistics of how to become a coach, or have other questions about what it might look for you to take the next steps on your coach training journey, if that's where you're going, we've got you covered. Coming up, we have our admissions coaches who are available, who can talk with you about what it might look like to become an iPEC certified coach like Christine and myself. And then also we have our upcoming coaching office hours. And this is more of the nuts and bolts. Any questions that you have about becoming a coach, you can ask in those sessions. And that's how Christine and I started in this coaching process, was we talked with an admissions coach to get the process started. So thank you all again so much. Thank you, Christine. And we will see you all next month for our next Energy Explorer series live. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.